Good boy, Tucker.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome.
Work smarter where you want.
Consistency is key.
And remember, if it's not in Redtail, it never happened.
This is learning at its most fun.
So, it has been said that the great wealth transfer is upon us, and trillions of dollars in AUM is expected to shift between 3 generations over the next decade. So, planning for these changes can be difficult unless you have the right strategy in place now. So that way, when that wealth transfer does happen, those people aren't calling their buddy over at another firm to go ahead and handle all of their business. Instead, they will have a relationship established with you already. So that way they feel comfortable continuing to receive service from you. Because right now, I'm sure you're looking at your AUM and, it's very nice and a large number, but, as those generations that hold that AUM money will continue to pass it on to their beneficiaries, that number can easily dwindle very quickly. So you want to make sure that you establish that relationship now. Let them know who you are, let them know you're a resource to them. So that way, that money, that AUM will stay consistent once everything happens. Now, if we jump over to the CRM here, I want to point out that if you're on the Today page, there is a tab here that says Contacts. And if you click on this tab here that says Contacts, a lot of people don't know this, but there is an age distribution map or graph here that you can refer to. So right now, if we go, we can see, we have, 80 plus clients, people that are 80 years and older. We have 25. Between the ages of 70 and 79, we have this amount, and so on and so forth. So the idea is that eventually these numbers, or the people that hold the AUM in these these groups, are going to trickle down to these other groups. So you want to at least get these numbers up, get them into the CRM, at the very least, maybe, wish them a happy birthday or invite them to a meeting. So that way you can establish that relationship. But if we go back here to the Today page, we're going to go ahead and choose on our client here, Tim Taylor. He isn't exactly in the age group that we would focus on, but it is nonetheless a really good example. So if we are on Tim's record, we can see that, Tim is, we could click on his family here, and we could go ahead and see a family tree here. So this should be your first job, especially when you're starting off with the CRM, is building out this family tree. Now, this family tree is the tax definition of family. So you should only put dependent children here only. So if these 3 boys are still living in Tim's household, you want to list them here underneath the family page. But as soon as Brad moves out and he is, in his own household, his own job, you want to go ahead and move him from the family section over to memberships. So if we refresh this page, in order to get to memberships, we want to click more on the left-hand side and go down to memberships. And memberships is meant to be every other relationship. You can put nieces, nephews, those children that are no longer dependent, beneficiaries, trust, referrals, anything that's not the tax definition of family, you can put that here under memberships. But at the very least, you want to add those children or those beneficiaries into the system. You can click on the plus sign in the top right-hand corner to select on contacts and add in those beneficiaries here by selecting individuals. But like I said, you want to at least get them into the system, get them ordered underneath the client that you're currently serving, And then even get basic information in there for them. Get their birth date in there, get their address in there, their phone number, some of their interests. So that way you can start to build that relationship with this person. And in addition, you'll notice underneath the contact details, we have Brad categorized and has his own status here. So right now, by looking at the contact details, you can see a lot here. You can see that Brad is a dependent and he is a child of a client. So you want to make sure that you customize your database list to include these type of terms. So that way you can go ahead and target those specific groups later, or at least keep them away from your target list, your day-to-day business list. So in order to customize this list, you always want to click on your name in the top right-hand corner and go to manage your account. So if you click on your name and you go to manage your account, you're going to go down to the admins only list. This is exclusive to people who have admin privileges, but you're going to click manage database lists. Whenever you go to manage database lists, you're going to be setting up the back end of the system. So any sort of drop down menus that you see in Redtail, whenever you want to add something to that drop down menu or edit something from that drop down menu, you're just going to want to go to your name, go to manage your account, and select manage database list. So the first thing we'll go to is the status list. So underneath status, you might consider adding in a status like dependent. And then we can go ahead and use the category to say what kind of dependent it is. So things like dependent should be in there, spouse of client. Those are some good ones to make sure that you're keeping in touch in case it's a widow situation or it's a beneficiary situation. And then if we go to categories on the right-hand side, like I said, once you know you have a dependent, then you can categorize that dependent. Is it a child of a client? Is it a grandchild? Is it a family member? You can go ahead and use the category to kind of rank or further define that relationship from status. So you have status, categories that you should customize. The next thing that would be nice to customize would be your keyword list. Your keywords are meant to answer a yes or no question for anything that you want to track. So in this case, we might want to track beneficiaries. So if we click on keywords on the right-hand side, we want to make sure we have a keyword in here that says beneficiary. So that way, as we add these contacts into the system, we can add this category onto their name. And maybe one day we want to host an event exclusive to beneficiaries, or we just want to send them, an annual newsletter or some quarterly information. We can go ahead and search for that keyword, a beneficiary, and quickly cast a net over that group. Now, you might even consider adding in, things that would be part of your campaigns that would pertain to this person. So maybe you are going to be sending out mailings. If they prefer physical mail, you can attach one of these ones. Maybe they prefer digital communication. You can add in a sort of a digital sort of keyword, and maybe you're tracking student loans or budget, people that would benefit from budgeting seminars. You can go ahead and add those in as keywords and attach it to their name if they answer yes to that keyword. So the point is, if you have something you want to track, you want to add it in as a keyword. And if someone has a positive relationship to what you're tracking, you would attach that keyword to their name. Next thing we're going to talk about is kind of determining a strategy for communicating with this group. And I also want to point out that there is a help desk article that will complement this session really well in case you want to refer to that later. If you click on the question mark in the top right hand corner, you can go to our Redtail help desk. And if you go to the question mark and go to our Redtail help desk, underneath this help desk page, you're going to click on this tile here that says Redtail CRM. And we have a how to handle section right here. If you click that how to handle, the very last option is going to be wealth transfer because it is in ABC order. So everything that we're talking about today, right now, verbally, is listed out here in a numeric order for you to refer to. So that way you can kind of build out things to follow up today's training session. But now we're going to talk about determining the communication with these people. You know, it's really nice to have them in the system, but if you're not reaching out to them or building a relationship with them, then that's an opportunity that is going to be missed. So right now, these people might not have the assets that you're looking for. They might not have those big money-making careers yet, but it is something that's in the pipeline. So these people are working toward your, target client, and that's besides the fact that they're going to be inheriting your current client's money one day. So some communication plans can be put into place so that way you are communicating with them. Like I said, at the very least, a birthday acknowledgement. Send them a happy birthday, whether that's a physical mail or an email, whatever you prefer, or I should say they prefer, you can go ahead and choose that. But just putting your name out there for them is going to be helpful. Maybe at your client's next review, you ask them to invite their beneficiary to that meeting so you can share some important information with them that could establish, or put a face to a name, and just make sure that, when they have a question about finance, you're the one that they go to. They don't go to Google. They don't go to their, buddy that just graduated. They're going to go to you. So this is a sample of a communication plan that you might consider. This one is based on rank. So your current clients that you're serving, they might be an A client, a double A client, triple A client, and then depending on what type of client they are rank-wise, that's kind of the level of service that you're providing to their beneficiaries. So that's what's laid out here. You can consider doing something like this as well. It's something really simple where, we're just acknowledging them for how long they've been a client. We're checking in with them. We're sending them a happy birthday, and you can kind of build from there. And the last thing that you can consider doing with the CRM and these beneficiaries is adding in a workflow that is going to set an expectation to your team of the minimum information that you want held on that person. So at the very least, when you add a contact into a Redtail, at the very least, you just need a first and last name. But you want to go ahead and build out that record a little bit further so that way, if they do choose to open up an account, you're not, hounding them down for their driver's license number, or, when it comes down to a situation where something happens overnight and you need to reach out to them, you don't even have a phone number to reach out to. So what we're looking at here is a workflow that we built out for required information. So this is saying that if we add someone new to the system, like one of these beneficiaries, then at the very least, we need to have all of these fields filled out to say that we've successfully added this person to the system. So you might consider building out a workflow like this, and listing out to your team the expectations that you have in place of the information you want on a record at minimum. Now, what's great is we also have an automation to complement this workflow. So what this automation will do is if a contact is added, so if that beneficiary is added, then this workflow that was created will automatically link to that contact. So maybe you only want it linked if it's a child or a spouse of client, then you can go ahead and put in some conditions as well. But this will make sure that, as we add in contacts, maybe next week we really put this into force and we add in 20 beneficiaries. Well, what this automation will do with that workflow is it'll automatically attach that workflow onto those 20 people. So that way you can see where, beneficiary number 1 is versus 14 versus 9 versus 12, and make sure that you gather all of that data successfully. Now, we do have a lot of partners as well that could help with, this strategy. If we go back to the Redtail help desk and click on the Redtail CRM tile, there is going to be a section here for integrations. And if you click on the one here, maybe that is marketing tools, you might consider using some of these to help out as well. Maybe you don't have time to send out those handwritten cards, or maybe you don't have time to, curate your own content to send monthly. You can consider, getting in touch with some of these partners, subscribing to their services. Some of them will, create the card and send it out to them automatically. Some of them will have, some pre-written content for you to send out to them. But whatever is going to help you, you can go ahead and, use some partners or use the CRM to accomplish that. So then the end goal, if we go back to this contacts tab, is to get these numbers up here. These numbers should essentially match or double the ones that are here. So that way, as these go down, we would just reach out to these ones here that are now holding those assets. And, it's just business as usual.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.